Hey everybody, very exciting today. This is my wife Christina. How much background in construction do you have? How much experience in construction? None? Zero? Okay, so a lot of you guys reach out to me and ask, can you do this by yourself? Can you DIY ICF? And I would say mostly yes. We've already poured the floor. It's a monolithic. It's got the footer and the slab in one piece. Little basement. We're doing a master bedroom, you know. Happy wife, happy life, giving her a nice new master. This is going to be a equipment room, man cave, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, so she is actually going to do most of the block stacking. I convinced her that it's good for content. So anyway, she's going to start stacking block. Now we got a time lapse on it. It's going to be a night and evening project for us. So, you know, it's going to be a little bit here and there. The first thing we're going to do is the first 2 rows are the hard part. You got to set them and level them. We're going to work on that tonight until dark, see how far we get. I'm just going to hand her blocks, bend rebar for her, and, you know, be the boss, and she's going to do the work. So we're going to get started now, and stay tuned. Okay, so this time lapse is of the first night and second night of me and Christina stacking blocks. So the first thing we did was square everything up and just start stacking the first 2 courses. This is the beginning of the second night. And between the 2 nights, it's probably about an hour and a half of work to get those 2 courses done and leveled and spray foamed to the floor, which I'll show you the details of all that in the upcoming couple of clips. But really, she did most of the stacking. I did some of the rebar work and other stuff, and just kind of watched her and made sure she did it all right, and it went very smoothly. So Christina here has been working really hard for last night for about an hour and today for about 30 minutes. She got about an hour and a half, and she has the first 2 courses done, which I think is the hardest part. I mean, you don't know because you haven't done any more than that, but what do you feel so far? You feel like it's a pretty easy process?
It's a piece of cake.
It's a piece of cake? Okay, okay. I mean, she has stacked almost every block by herself. So I've bent rebar, but she's put it in. So at 2 courses, everything snapped together. We're going to stop stacking. We're going to get our laser out. We've got it set, and we're just right here. Oh, yeah, just right. And it's just right all the way around, but over here by this doorway, we're dropping just a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut some wafers off of these 2x4s, get them all perfect, and then we're going to take our spray foam, and we're going to foam those to the ground. And once that's done, you could walk around on this, guys. It becomes very stable. We will go back to stacking. We'll finish our height, brace everything up, and normally we'd be ready to pour, but we've got these kind of crazy shore walls back here up against the house to pour, so we won't quite be ready. But as far as ICF goes, she will be done. So if you think she's doing a good job, like it, and like her. There you go. So anyway, we'll continue this, and you can watch the DIY version of ICF. Christina is foaming. Well, I think she is. But yeah, she's foaming everything. Oh, I got the look.
Pretty good at it.
You are doing pretty good, I have to say. And hey, oh boy, keep the can turned vertical. There you go. And you'll get all the foam out of the can that way. Don't get in a hurry and use too much foam. It'll squirt out on the inside. You don't want that. So anyway, she's going to do that. I'll probably end up having to do the outside because it's muddy out there. But once that's done and that gets hard, we are... You want me to zoom in on you here? Here. You smile for the camera while you're doing that. No, she's focused, guys. Oh, there she is. All right, guys. So this is the last step before we get to go on up. Okay, guys, so the rest of the stacking, I'm going to do some of it here in the time lapse by myself because Christina is a real estate broker, and on the weekends sometimes she's got a lot of showings, and with all the rain we had, we had to get it done. You see the plastic hanging on the right side and that conduit showing that wasn't showing in the early parts of this video. We were having some cave-ins over there. We've had about 8 inches of rain since we started this process, so it's kind of crazy. And we just needed to get this phase done. So she shows up about halfway through this time lapse and helps me finish all the forming and the bracing, and then we were ready to pour. And so We started the remodel on this house about 4 years ago. We got married in 2016 and immediately renovated most of the inside of the house. And this was always our plan. And my father got sick in 2018, and just he's been on a very long road to recovery. So that was kind of delay one. And then it's fairly obvious that Christina is from China, but what you guys may not realize that she is actually from Wuhan, China. And in January of 2020, when we were getting ready to start this project, we went to Wuhan together to visit her family, and we were there right at the beginning of the pandemic, and didn't really know how bad it was. And I came home for the International Build Show in Vegas, and she stayed for the Lunar New Year's with her family and got stuck in the lockdown and was actually there until last August before she was able to get a flight back to Missouri. So that was just one delay after another, but we're finally getting this project going. This is kind of our dream. So you can see her here helping me with the Zonts and Zuckles, which I will get into details of why I like that bracing the best. When we go up on the next level with the Fox blocks, I'll kind of give you more of an up close and personal view of those braces. I just think that they're a lot more flexible than the traditional vertical metal bracing. But after we got that done, we were ready to pour. You can see Christina here in her work attire, and she is pouring most of this herself. You can see the hose she's got from the pump truck. We call that a trimmy hose. It's a trim hose. It's kind of like a vinyl coated fire hose. It's a little more flexible than the traditional heavy rubber hose, so you're able to kind of hit a smaller wall. Like that's a 6-inch core wall. Most of your Gates walls or your Simons walls have a 8-inch core plus, and they're just easier to hit with the big hose. But you'll also see her or me kind of whipping around the rebars, and you can kind of twist it. You can manipulate it easier, and it's a nicer, easier thing, especially when you're trying to fill in under windows, which again I'll be able to show you that on the next video where we're pouring the upstairs where there's actually window openings. So that's something I would definitely request any pump truck you order to have with them is a trim hose. And I'll just kind of give you a quick shot down the wall so you can kind of see what she's looking at. You can see the concrete down there. You see how the horizontal rebars run inside and outside of the verticals. So everything's really, with ICF, everything's really held in place nicely with the system. And there's John Martin being a hero as usual. And back to Christina for him. You see how narrow that trim hose can get. You can kind of squeeze it down. Your hands will cramp up a little bit, but you can kind of control it a lot more than a typical big rubber hose, which is actually up above that. You can't see it, but you can probably tell it's pouring down rain in this pour. Christina was a real trooper because it was about the grossest day I've poured in quite a while. And I'm going to take it from her right here because Nudura corners are, really their weak link in an otherwise great system. But their corners, really the only blowouts I've ever had in ICF pouring have been Nudura corners. So you can kind of see how I've got plywood screwed to the bottom of them and kickers. You don't really need those, but you also don't want to have a bad day. So it's sort of a belt and suspenders thing. But you can see how I kind of let it flow in, but then I'm going to whip it around and get away from the corner, and then just sort of feather that concrete back to the corner. And the purpose of that is just to keep the pressure on the corner minimized. And sorry about my mom was actually filming the camera, doing the camera work today. It's a family affair on this particular job. Like I said, this is a night and weekend deal, but it was pouring down rain. She was doing the best she could, but camera work was, a little bit off on this day because of the rain. But after this, we got it all done, and it went great.
Like this?
Yeah, just like that. Pie looking like a pro. Yeah, what do you think about this process?
Very good.
Very good. DIY ICF, like she's done it a million times. So the following day, me and my guys, we needed the bracing for a pool we were doing. So instead of me and Christina doing it in the evenings as we had time, we just busted it out in like the first hour of work. The next morning, we just stripped everything, put it on the trailer, and hauled it off. And we were ready to go. So the next step here is the shore walls and the light deck. Hey everybody, got the basement portion of our room addition wrapped. Obviously we used old Nudura forms. I had just enough laying behind the shop to use them up, which I hate waste, so I wanted to use them even though they're pretty janky looking. They worked great. You know, Christina's first experience ever to pour concrete or do anything like this, so I would have liked it to be a nice new form. She's going to love the Fox blocks we're going to use on up. But I kind of wanted to bring her in at this point and ask her some questions for you guys, because I do this every day, but you know, she's got zero experience around this stuff. So if you want to come over here, babe. So Christina did great, as you guys saw. Yeah, hey everybody. What's your first impression? I'll take this thing and give it to you. First impression of pouring, yeah.
I think it's pretty easy and pretty fun than I thought. I thought it's really hard because every day, every time when he going to the pouring concrete day, it would be very stressed. So I thought pretty hard to do it, but I made it.
You did. She's talking about me being stressed out on pour days. A lot of pour days, especially our swimming pools and stuff that might have 80 to 100 yards in them. It's a monolithic, you know, three-dimensional pour. You get a little stressed. There's a lot of money riding on a pour like that. This thing, good prep makes for good pour days. And we prepared. We took our time. This is a night and weekend. Like right now it's like 7 o'clock in the evening, and this is when we have time to work. And we have to make the time because obviously we both have busy jobs and everything. But we prepared and we dotted our I's and crossed our T's so we didn't have problems. And I didn't want her to have problems on her first pour and get a bad taste for it. So
I'm pretty enjoying it.
You enjoyed it, yeah. So the next step will be like, I'm going to bring my guys in and do these shore walls real quick because they're a technical thing. There's no tie to hold the form. We have to do it all structurally. Once that's done, I'm going to get the false work built in here so we can start laying the light deck. And then me and her are going to do all the light deck, which is sitting up here in the yard. I showed you that in the last video. And we're going to do all the light deck and take the ICF on up, and we'll pour all that wall, light deck, and these shore walls all in one big monolithic piece on the next pour. Higher pucker factor on that, guys, but she'll still do all the ICF work with me, showing you guys how easy it is to do it. Just a husband and wife is totally can do it. You know, I've poured a few for couples that were doing their own house, and it went good. And
it's pretty amazing, like experience, because I never do like a building part a lot, but it turns out really good, and I love it.
It's rewarding, right, to see something go from the ground up. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's a very rewarding deal. But like I said, guys, we're really enjoying bringing you these videos. She helps me a lot with these videos. She's the one who talked me into this, doing the YouTube videos. And the ICF is something that I care about a lot because I think it's just the way that a lot of people should build. And I think she's starting to think so too now that she's done it. And yeah.
I think you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can do it if they just have the time and put in the effort. On that, we'll get out of here for today, and we'll be back soon. Well, like I said, the next video on this series will be that, but we got a couple other good ones coming in the next week or so on some other ICF stuff. So thank you for watching, and we will be back with you soon.